Welcome to India, Mr. Payne. Thank you so much for being here. We're so excited and delighted that you are here.
Thank you very much. It's wonderful to be in India, and I feel like I had a very warm welcome. I had a few minutes to wander the streets, and like 2 minutes after I got out of my car, a holy man walked up to me and put a dot on my forehead and tied a bracelet around me and gave me a blessing. So
that's it.
I instantly felt blessed and welcomed in your country. So thank you.
That says it all. It's going to be a huge success now.
I believe it.
That's how it works. Well, this is such an incredible, aspiring piece of work. I just saw the trailer and I'm completely blown. Absolutely incredible.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell me, I was just, what was your experience of encountering Tolkien's work? And what does Tolkien mean to you?
So I came to Tolkien by way of the Peter Jackson films. I saw them first when I was in my early 20s. And they were one of the few films that came out when I was an adult that got into my heart the way that films used to when I was a kid. And from there I did the deep dive and read all the books and got super into it. And now they've woven themselves into the fabric of my life. Very rare does a day go by that I don't reference something happening in my life by way of Lord of the Rings, saying I feel like Frodo carrying the ring today, or when weddings or funerals come along, Tolkien quotes always make their way into my toasts or eulogies. So Tolkien is just part of my soul.
I can see the passion, and it shows in your work. And you have your incredible cast here with you.
Oh, they're absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
I'm really excited for you to get to meet them.
I've always believed that casting is one of the most difficult aspects of filmmaking. How was this process for you? How difficult was it for you?
Well, so we knew we had to get this right. The story we're telling is an amazing story. It's Tolkien's untold story of the Second Age. So we're telling the story of the forging of the Rings of Power, the rise of the Dark Lord Sauron, the fall of Numenor, and finally the last alliance of elves and men. And so to be able to bring that really to life, we knew we needed a cast that was really special. And so we had really two criteria for our cast. And one, they had to be amazing performers, but two, they had to have Middle-earth in them. You had to look in their eyes and feel like they could have stepped out of a magical portal and been from Middle-earth transported to our world. So we auditioned hundreds and hundreds of people for every single role and found 22 needles in 22 haystacks.
That's incredible. How long was the process?
For quite a long time. I mean, it took basically a year to find our entire cast.
That's incredible, absolutely incredible. And is this the first time that you're working with Amazon Studios?
Yes.
What was that experience like?
Amazing. So Amazon decided that they wanted to put on this enormous adaptation of Tolkien, and they had a huge ambition, and our ambition matched their appetite for what they wanted to do. They went out and got the rights to it, and then they basically said it's a wide open field, and so they opened it up to Hollywood to say, like, who has an idea for how they'd like to take this material and tell a story. And my partner and I came in and pitched a way in, and they got excited about it, and since then they have been incredibly supportive. They've given every resource necessary to realize Tolkien's imagination on the grandest scale possible.
Wow, that's incredible.
They're amazing. We've been very, very, very fortunate.
I'm so glad you had a great experience.
I mean, it was a fantastic experience. And I've worked with every studio in town in Hollywood, and Amazon has been amazingly supportive.
I have one last question. How many days did it take you to shoot?
Oh gosh, it was well, so we had COVID that was in the middle of it. So we shot 20 some odd days, and then COVID interrupted us, and we were on a hiatus for about 6 months. And then so I mean, it depends on how you count first unit days, second unit days, stunt days, VFX days, but something like 300-ish.
Count them all.
Sort of 300-ish. So a gargantuan schedule.
I'd say that's inspiring.
Guys, can you imagine my state as to how badly I'm fangirling right now? Like, J.D. Payne, Hritik, Roshan. J.D. Payne, welcome to India. How has it been for you? I really want to know.
Oh, it's been fantastic. It's been really fantastic. I've dreamed of coming to India my entire life. I've admired this entire country from afar, and had Indian friends since I was a young boy. My first Indian friend was Aviv Bhatia, that I used to play soccer and football with when we were 10 years old, and then I've had Indian friends ever since, and so it's beautiful to finally come to this wonderful, wonderful place.
I'm so glad you feel that way. Now I'm going to dare and ask you this question. You are an epic storyteller. Star Trek, guys, there's nobody who hasn't seen it. It's not possible. So I mean, this is something that's a familiar ground for you in terms of scale and, storytelling. But was it daunting for you to attempt material that has fan following, which is so widespread, and for them, this material is so sacred? Also, was it any kind of pressure while you were attempting Tolkien's work?
Well, I mean, the biggest pressure was the pressure that Patrick and I put on ourselves, simply because there's such a need for what Middle-earth can bring to our world. There's a real darkness in our world right now. There's a lot of people who are in a lot of pain. Political darkness, economic darkness, social darkness, just a lot of challenges. And Middle-earth speaks to people in their soul. It's one of the reasons why Tolkien's work has been, next to like the Bible, the Quran, and certain writings of Mao Zedong, Tolkien has been the most selling work of all time. And I think that's because no matter what country people come from, no matter what background they have, when people find Tolkien, it goes past all of those other things and finds them in their heart and in their soul. And so we felt like we needed to capture that special feeling of Tolkien. Because really the Second Age, the story I mentioned a moment ago, Tolkien sketched it out, but he didn't do it in a ton of detail in a lot of parts. So there was a lot of things where we had to very carefully excavate what he had shown us, but then also to continue to connect the dots and fill some of the gaps in where necessary. So we tried to do that in as Tolkienian a way as possible to be able to bring that light and that feeling of Middle-earth. And I could say that one of my best moments so far was we showed some Tolkien superfans about 20 minutes of the show, and we were sort of flies on the wall sitting in the back of the auditorium, and I heard someone asked, well, what did you guys think of it? And one of them said, it just feels like Middle-earth. And I spontaneously broke into tears. And I was like, that's all I wanted to accomplish.
That is amazing. Well, हम पहली बार कर रहे हैं यार, एक ताली तो मार लो हमारे लिए.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I think it's been so nice, knowing these things from you. But I really want to meet
the cast.
Yeah,
the entire cast.
Totally excited to bring them out. Yeah, I'm happy to introduce them.
Shall we?
Yeah, guys, you want to start walking on out, and I'll give introductions as you do.
Yeah, well, it's the Second Age, so he's much younger than the trilogy or anything like that. He's half elven, which is a sort of unique thing in the elven world. He's young, he's ambitious, he's serving his king, and yeah, curious about different cultures and stuff.
Was it fun?
Very fun. Very
Was it
fun.
hard?
Very hard, yeah. Yeah.
Then it was fun.
Nazanin, can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
So you play Bronwyn of the Southlands.
Yes.
And she's a healer. So what we've seen in the trailer is she's extremely powerful, yet she's nurturing. So from where did you draw the strength to play a character this magnanimous?
Thank you for the question. It's so good to be back in India. And thank you for your warm welcome and hospitality. I love playing Bronwyn because she is so multifaceted. She's, as you said, a healer, a single mother to a rebellious teenage son played by Tyro, in a forbidden romance with an elf Arondir who is tasked with watching over the Southlanders. I play a Southlander who historically, her ancestors chose the wrong side. They chose evil over good, and she's trying very hard to redeem them. What I love about her is that she is very resilient and strong, as you said, as well as nurturing. And I was going to be a doctor before I started acting. I have a degree in biology, so that side of her, the healing side, resonates with me. But also her determination to redeem her people and to liberate them from the forces of evil of their past, the shackles of their past, really resonates with me as an activist, because I'm a long-time activist for my homeland, Iran, human rights activist. And women in Iran and in many places in the world are at the forefront of the move towards democracy, freedom, and human rights. And so that's where I drew inspiration.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And may I just say, I have seen your work, and I think you're an incredible actor. And thank you for all the wonderful things that you're doing and you're standing for.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Excellent. Tyro, my man.
How's it going?
You play Theo, right?
Yes.
and you're the youngest of them all.
Looks like it, yeah.
What was it like? What's the experience, man?
Well, I mean, I think this is kind of big for everyone because it's not every day you get to work on The Lord of the Rings, which is huge. But, you know, thank you to JD for entrusting me with the role, given my inexperience, I guess you could say. But, no, I think the whole cast has been really, really, really supportive and, you know, have really taken me under their wing, especially Naz. You know, I was very, very nervous and anxious. I came from working on sets with like 5 people as the crew to hundreds. And, you know, it was very, very overwhelming. But, you know, with J.A. and, you know, Wayne and Charlotte and Naz, Ismail, Ian, everyone that I worked with just made me feel so comfortable and helped me do my job, which is ultimately the most important thing. And yeah, I went from Perth to Mumbai in front of all these beautiful people, and I'm here. And yeah, how's it going, everyone? Yeah, I'm truly, truly blessed.
That's amazing, man. You almost look in character.
Oh, yeah.
I like it. I like the style.
Thank you.
It's a Middle Earth orange.
It's Middle Earth orange. And Charles,
Yes.
hi.
Yes, hi.
Seen your work, big fan.
Thank you very much.
Everyone knows the famous Elven characters of Galadriel and Elrond, but I believe there is no story without you. Do you agree?
I'd have to agree with that, yes.
Good answer.
Although, no, obviously there are many, many other stories and themes in Tolkien and in our show, but ultimately the story of the Rings of Power is the one that brings them all to a head. But that's what's so interesting about Tolkien. For such a major storyline, he gives Celebrimbor very little page space. He's mentioned briefly, and those contradict each other, those mentions. So what our hunt, the showrunners, myself, the heads of department, the directors and the writers, is to find the hooks that Tolkien has given us, hang a few things on there, see how that goes, and then rummage around in the wardrobe a little more, see what else one can find in there, a few more hooks, a few more bits and pieces, hang it all up and see how it looks. And it's also the first time that Celebrimbor has been featured in a live-action adaptation of Tolkien's stories, so I'm very much looking forward to seeing what you all think about him.
Amazing.
Lloyd, I'd really like to ask you, you're playing Elendil,
I am.
who's the father to Isildur.
Isildur, yeah.
Isildur
This
is a very
naughty boy
important
here.
character, but I just didn't want to do debauchery of the language, so I was like, okay, let me not get Isildur wrong, because everyone out there will want to come after me then. So, so definitely, you're playing the father to Isildur and Eärien, who's played by Maxim and Emma. So, can you tell us what do we expect out of the series, and what is this world, and what's been the experience for you being a part of this?
Thank you for the question. First of all, it's really, really good to be back in India too, like Naz. I've had a beautiful experience working here in the past, so very happy to be back. Yes, Elendil, who is, as we see him at the beginning of the series, he's a sea captain, very capable man, but he's been widowed and he's trying to deal with his grieving adult children, 2 of whom are present here in Maxim and Emma, as you say. And he's a very well-known character in the Legendarium. Many fans of the movies would have seen him in brief, but if you read the books, he's referred back to a lot, and he's a sort of hero archetype. And he's very dear to a lot of the fans' hearts for that reason, because of his ultimate self-sacrifice at the end during the alliance of elves and men, where he dies in the act of trying to defeat Sauron. So, but again, rather like Charles was saying about Celebrimbor, there are only these sort of limited signposts along the way that Tolkien gives us. So there's this great sort of responsibility and privilege and excitement to be able to fill out those gaps. And where we see him at the very beginning is this one. Tolkien's Atlantis is Numenor, the island of Numenor, where Elendil comes from. And at this point in the story, Numenor is at its absolute peak, but it's right on the precipice between a sort of more nationalist side of the island, which feels they need an independence from the elves, and a more faithful side. And Elendil is very much torn between those two parts of society, between his head and his heart. His head is rational, pragmatic, trying to keep his family safe, and his heart is drawn towards the faithful. And something of the schism in that society is also reflected deep in the family within his children, so that there's a lot for him to deal with at the beginning, and I'm very excited to chart this man through that journey. So yeah, I'm very, very privileged and very excited to be here.
As an actor being on the set, the adaptation of Numenor, nobody's ever seen this world. So how is it to be on a set which so many people have imagined but never really seen? You were actually there, so what was the experience like?
It was genuinely extraordinary in the sense that in the modern world we expect everything to be CGI now, but we built Numenor, we built the capital city of Numenor, and it took 6 months to build. And I remember the first day walking onto that set was quite an extraordinary experience. I was with JD and he showed me around, and just the attention to detail, the amount of skill and brilliance in every department on this job, and ultimately the dedication and love that you feel. So they built the city from the ground up, and you can feel the history and how architecture changed over centuries, where loyalties lie, and the changing face of the landscape around it. Because that was also, I think my second day on set was filming a sequence on the beach with Galadriel as we're riding our horses. And again was with JD, and we realized that this is the first time that we'd seen the geography of Numenor, the physical geography of Numenor. And that was another beautiful moment to think, wow, I'm actually the first person to be part of that. So that was super exciting. And there's one member of our security team from Amazon who walked us back when we were in Comic-Con, walked us back to the hotel. And she said, I've been told not to talk to the actors and geek out about Lord of the Rings. I was like, come on, geek out. Let's see what you got. But she'd said both her parents were fans of Lord of the Rings. She'd read it. She'd read the Silmarillion. She'd watched the movies. And she said, and when she saw Numenor on screen for the first time, she'd seen the first 3 episodes, she said she just burst into tears. And I took that as a really, really good sign that oftentimes when we read the books, our imagination is really powerful, but somehow this exceeded her expectations, or should I say enhanced her expectations of what Numenor was. So I was really, really pleased about that.
That's really amazing.
All I'm thinking is I wish I had that voice.
I know, it's a great voice, isn't it?
It is.
It's a little deeper after the aeroplane
you can
flight
use
we
it,
just
right?
took,
You know how to
but,
use it.
Lloyd, the thing is, most of the times I sound like you. So I have a hard time sounding like me. Maxim, Isildur, huh?
Yes.
How does it feel? Because this is a character that everyone is waiting to watch, and it has fans all over the world. So where does this arrive in the series?
Well, he's a sailor on the kind of cusp of adulthood when we first meet him, and there's an emptiness and a void in him. And I guess he doesn't really want to fit into societal expectations of him. He doesn't want to really be like his father in a way, but then there's a pressure to also...
Children.
Yeah. So you kind of meet him deliberating and yearning for something else that potentially is not in Numenor, not on the island.
Nice. Emma, I have a question to ask you. Do you want to say something, Hritik?
Go on.
Are you sure you don't want to say anything?
Absolutely sure.
Just checking.
I was just thinking he could do well in Hindi films.
Actually, he does have a very Indian face.
Yeah. I don't know if it's...
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Would you do a film in which you'd cast the 3 of us?
The 3 of us?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, well, if you write it.
Anyone interested? Make us
Mr.
out
Payne.
there, in case anyone's listening to us.
Between seasons, see no evil, hear no evil.
Emma, your character, hi. How is Mumbai treating you? Please tell me.
It's awesome.
It's
I'm
awesome.
so happy to be here. I've never even been to Asia, so this is,
Wow.
continental and country-wise, I'm like, wow, totally new.
And when did you come in, if I may ask?
Sorry?
When did you reach her, if I may ask?
3 a.m. this morning.
And she looks so stunning. Guys,
All of you
big
guys,
round of
that's
applause to just
incredible.
that absolute beauty. Emma, you're playing Aryan.